Hey everybody, welcome back to another edition of Gruber Wired. I'm Mark Beach.
I'm John Dotson, and yes, welcome back, Mark. I'm glad
Thank
you're
you.
feeling better.
Yeah, you want to poke the bear or you want to just go?
I'm done poking the bear.
Okay, all right. All right. I just want to make sure. I mean, I'm prepared if you want to poke. So, keep going.
No, we're good.
I know, okay. All right. No, he had some fun and,
It happens.
I was sitting home watching.
Did you watch that episode?
I started to. And then I turned it off because,
Yeah.
I'm not a self-deprecating kind of guy.
Gotcha.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah.
Hey, beautiful day outside.
Gorgeous. The Midwest and the East are preparing for some pretty hefty storms, and just sunny and 70 here.
Yeah,
we love
we'll
it.
take it.
Yep. It's all good. We'll get a little rain coming up. But other than that, it's good stuff.
Yeah, hey, business has been booming since the turn of the year here.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, I have been extremely busy, and there's a lot going on, a lot of good projects and infrastructure taking place out there.
When the email works.
Yeah. If you haven't heard out there.
Yeah, if you haven't heard, Microsoft is down or something's going on with Outlook and Exchange and 365. So if your email fell silent, you know why.
Yeah, we're not sure what's going on yet. They haven't really released a report of the error that they have found, but they are working on it. So I'm sure we'll get that information later on down the road.
I'm sure our email boxes will get flooded.
Yeah. Hey, how does that work? Curiosity. When something like this, how does everything back up? I mean, does it just... the backlog's got to be enormous.
Right. Well, I imagine... I mean, this is just a guess, but I imagine, like, say, Gruber server can't send. It's trying to send. It hits a wall somewhere, and so it doesn't get any kind of confirmation that it's been
released,
actually
and sent. Yeah.
gone out. So eventually, when the pipeline opens, because it'll keep bumping its head against the wall until it actually goes, and then everything will pop through, I think.
Yeah, we'll see how that works.
Yeah, I would like to think that that's the case instead of it vanishing into nothingness.
Well, I can only imagine, since it is a worldwide issue, that there's tens, if not thousands, or millions of emails sitting there in queue, waiting just to take off and get out to the recipient.
Yep.
But that just kind of flows into what we're talking about today, with these systems and redundancies and making sure that everything is accurate with your infrastructure and your infrastructure needs.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about Gruber in the upside down, and we're trying to talk about network design and fatal assumptions and fatal decisions that or paradigms that kind of skew results.
Sure.
So,
and there's lots of them, right?
There are.
Hey, before we dig in too much, I know Cass has a very special surprise for us today, don't you, Cass?
I do. I have a video of Aaron talking about hockey. And I don't know if you guys have headphones over there real quick, because you won't be able to hear it through the TV. But
John
through
can hear
the
it, but
headphones, you should be able to hear
tune
it.
in later.
Turn this on. Where's the on
I'll
switch
tune
here?
in later and hear it.
Yeah, there we go. I have to take the hat off for a moment. Oh, I see myself there.
Yeah, well, Aaron doesn't have his camera, so it's just going to be shots of everybody.
Gotcha.
Hockey is probably number one. Hockey's a sport. I like hockey. I'm going to play hockey with the Detroit Red
And I'm not
Wings.
hearing the
Hockey
audio.
is the all-time sport.
Oh, he goes... Did you hear that, Aaron? No, I did not. You didn't hear it?
No.
Well,
That's crazy,
you can
'cause I
play
heard
it for the people.
Lisa's like, not hockey again. Oh, my God.
He says that he likes hockey and that he's going to play for the Detroit Red Wings.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yes.
I think I had another comment from TikTok there, and I just can't read it.
I think it says no one cares about this stupid video. Oh,
a
that
great
must
video.
be
It's gotta be
Aaron.
Aaron himself, I'm sure.
It says hockey sucks.
That's a great username.
That's way to be prepared, Aaron.
Yeah.
That's a clutch move.
Hey, Cass, when you get that fixed, we'll actually air it again for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Just for you, Aaron.
Aaron, why the dislike in hockey so much?
Yeah,
you
what's
never
the
did say
backstory
what's the
on that?
backstory there.
Because I like real sports.
Hockey's a real sport.
Yeah, I like baseball. I like football,
Hockey?
basketball. Hockey's not a real sport.
He likes hockey.
Why do you say that?
Honestly, the reason why I say it is because one of my good friends in California was a huge hockey player, played semi-pro, and I used to just rag him.
Antagonize him? Yeah.
It doesn't take any talent to, skate on ice and shoot a little puck. And I used to get him just riled up right before like softball games that we play with, So, yeah, that's where it kind of came from.
Gotcha. Okay, and you're just honing your craft for the next time you see him.
Exactly.
Is that what's going
this
on?
is good practice.
Just got to get in the flow. Okay,
Yeah.
I gotcha. I can respect that. Yeah, that's good.
Also, too, I don't understand the rules or the sports or anything.
Yeah, I know. Icing and all that kind of stuff. I have no idea.
Yeah, when I was watching I don't know, was it the All-Star break that they had, where they had like the 4 different teams, but I guess they were representative countries?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
But, so I didn't know that. So I'm texting my buddy who's, still a huge hockey fan, and I'm like, why is everybody booing these guys? Like, I don't understand what's going on. It's like, because they're from Canada. And I'm like, isn't most of the NHL players from Canada?
They originated,
like, no,
yeah.
this is Team Canada. I was like, oh, okay. I had no idea they divvied up, the players. So
They do that every so often.
They have an inferiority complex.
I like you up there, Canada. You're good people.
It's a good thing you're our neighbors, right?
Major Tom, a lot of hockey talk. How about the Rams? We live in Phoenix. Hello. Football is America's sport.
You guys have to remember that I came from the Midwest. So major sport in the Midwest is hockey. So we've got football, hockey, wrestling. Those are like the 3 that we watched all the time. I'm originally from the Midwest.
So, Aaron, you really don't care for hockey so much, but what about curling?
Oh, curling's kind of fun.
Yeah, see, there you go.
Yeah, no.
So you do like sports on ice, just not hockey.
Yeah, but those guys have way more talent and skills than the hockey players do. I mean, you have to judge where that, I don't know what it's called, but that curling thing. The stone, yeah, where how far it's going to go, and what
I like the little guys who sweep.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the sweepers.
Because all they're doing
sweepers.
is just, I think they're making the ice smooth so it goes further, right? Or it carries
Yes,
further.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then the person who pushes it, I mean, their form is just awesome.
I mean, we're going to have the Winter Olympics this year. So
Yeah,
there
we
will
are.
be curling.
Yeah, I think it starts next month, actually.
I believe so.
They had
Milan?
a curling team in Arizona on there on the news like a few weeks ago.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's cool.
That's true, yeah.
the only thing is you can't lose teeth in curling, so
No.
And that's no fun.
And there's no fighting.
There's no
There's
fighting.
no fighting.
I mean, we
But,
don't
yeah.
know what happens behind the scenes. There could be some territorial.
Yeah, some Nancy Kerrigan
and
kind of stuff going
Yeah.
on. Tanya Harding.
Yeah, well, speaking of behind the scenes, that's a lot of things that people don't realize is behind the scenes of the infrastructure
Right.
that's in our industry.
Right.
And that's kind of like where we're going today. So,
Yeah, definitely. Which is your cue, Aaron, to shut up.
Got it. On it.
About hockey, anyway.
well, we do have some more comments up there. Let's talk about Arizona Cardinals and the upside. Maybe they will win. It's possible. We hope they do. We want to support our local teams.
Yeah.
I can't read Lisa's comment. The camera's in the way.
Sweat wipers in the. You have to finish it.
Oh, the sweat wipers in the NBA make over $100,000 a year.
Oh.
Hey, wow. Hey.
Those guys with the little mops?
Yeah, that run out there and clean up the floors. Yeah.
Don't tell Jesse, but I just updated my resume now.
I guess you got to be good at it, right? Got to be Johnny on the spot.
Yeah.
All right. Now to business. So, there's a lot of things. We encounter this too in talking with customers, and some are more knowledgeable than others, and they'll call and want a solution. I had a guy call today and was asking for Cat 6e.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we know there's no standard for Cat 6e. It just means enhanced, and it's not an official classification. It just means that it operates like it has a 550 megahertz range, right?
Correct, yeah.
And, our regular Cat 6 does that.
Yeah, covers
And,
that
and
standard.
so I explained it to him. I said, this is what it is. Really, you're looking for the result. You're not shopping the label is not necessarily what you're going for. You're going for the performance.
Mm-hmm.
And I, shared with him specs on our, Quabbin Cat 6 cable that's 550 megahertz rated, tested. And he's like, oh, well, I didn't know that. Okay, yeah. And then we bought that. He came in and bought a spool. And, it's the more you know kind of thing. Because we get into, nomenclature, people talk about Cat 7 or Cat 8 or, whatever. But, it's, the solution isn't necessarily because the number's higher, right? It doesn't mean that you're going to come up with it's going to be a better thing. It's oftentimes not the best solution. And there are design flaws, even with fiber, have bend radius and bend tolerance and understanding how the runs go in conduit and if there are turns and, because it's light, it's got to travel along a path and it can get interrupted.
Sure, you got to take in all considerations, and it also depends on the design form of the data center that you're working with. And when I say data center, we often think times of huge, large buildings and all this infrastructure. A data center can be in a closet,
right,
for your facility. So yeah, depending on what your needs are and taking a look at that, a data center, say for a chain restaurant, take McDonald's for example,
right.
Understanding what you're working with and in the environment that you're within and the space that you have, and especially when you're talking bend radiuses with fiber and so forth, and taking a look, say, well, what might be the best solution for this scenario? A lot of people out there think fiber is the best. Boom, 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 go fiber, and not necessarily. You need to look for the best, combination, to get the result you want for the build that you're working on.
Exactly. I mean, a lot of installations are not new builds. So conduit's already run, and some of it's run through concrete in the floor, right?
Correct.
I mean, there are places where, so you have to understand the environment that you're actually operating in to determine, what is going to be your best solution. I had a guy that sent me a diagram of the bend in a conduit in a existing building that he was working with. He wanted fiber, and we started talking about it, and I had to give him the actual calculation for the bend radius to figure out if what he was actually asking for was going to work.
Yeah.
Right. Because a lot of times, we fortunately we don't get a lot of calls where they come back and go, well, it didn't work, because we ask a lot of good questions, I think, up front to make sure that what the solution is we are providing meets the actual need, not the stated need, right?
Mm-hmm.
So important.
Yeah, we had a customer just about 2 weeks ago we were working with, and they had an issue and a solution where they were putting a communications board, so they're going to use some wall mount brackets, right? Mm-hmm. A vertical wall mount bracket to hold the switch and so forth, but it was behind a door. So when you opened the door, you only had about 16 inches of space, from the wall to the door.
Right.
So now you got to start thinking about things in scenarios like the bend radiuses. How much space do you have? Because if I put the equipment in here, how much space does that hookup leave, on the back of the panel,
right,
or the front, either ways? And how much room do you have to work with? So when we talk about fiber, thinking of that in relative terms to understand the bend radius is a huge issue.
It is a big deal. And one of the things on here says it's just cable, brand doesn't matter, right? And I mean, the quality of what you put in is what you get out. I know we're throwing out a lot of examples, but I had a guy who was telling me, oh, I just buy it online, and it's only $80 a box, and I'm like, yeah, no, I don't think you're getting what you think you're getting.
Yeah.
And it was copper clad aluminum. It wasn't solid copper core.
Yeah. And we've talked about copper-clad aluminum before. If you guys hear that terminology out there,
run.
Run. Just turn. Don't worry. Just
don't mess with that. Yeah.
Let it be. It's just not a good, viable solution.
Right. I think that brand does matter. I think that In some cases, though, there's overkill in branding because some stuff gets spec'd in, and I'm not going to name names, but stuff gets spec'd in, and there are American-made solutions that rate as well, if not better, than what got spec'd in.
Yeah, you got to look at the quality over the brand is where I'm going to go with that.
Right.
Okay. And especially when you get into some of the other brands, like I said, we're not naming names, but there are some brands in our industry that if you start using their product, their warranty is only governed and overseen if you use their product end-to-end solution.
Right.
So if you use that particular brand in your system and you put it in for functionality and you decide to use somebody else's cable in the end-to-end solution, you end up voiding your entire warranty of the product you've already purchased.
Right. And performance-wise, you're not really picking anything up. It's just that you're locking yourself into a system. It's kind of why I hate Apple phones and the Apple ecosystem, because when you're locked in, you're locked in. When you're in open architecture in Android, whether it's Samsung or any other Android brand, you're pretty open to what you can connect with and share with and all that. But Apple's ecosystem is definitely closed.
Yeah, pretty much proprietary to itself.
Yeah. It's kind of like when computers first came out, and there was a computer system called Packard Bell.
Yeah.
And everything inside the box was proprietary. You could not upgrade anything. They had to do it, right? And that, for a guy who ended up down the road building his own boxes and, deciding what the best memory sticks were, what the best graphics cards were, and putting it all together, what the best hard drives were, and building that out for myself, having that limitation inside the box was just a non-starter for me.
Yeah.
Yep.
Got you there. Yeah, exactly. And then just having an understanding of, again, I go back to the environment you're working in, because a small business is going to be a different environment from a large mass data center. So trying to take a look at what's going on in your surrounding areas. The smaller businesses, I say, is where copper cabling is really your best benefit.
Sure.
Monetarily, not just monetarily wise, but overall, especially if you're working in a scenario where you have a lot of people coming in and out, a lot of foot traffic. In your large data centers, you don't see a lot of foot traffic. You don't have that in the environment. And so fiber in a setting of using a fiber in a setting of a data center where you don't have a lot of play, a lot of people coming in and out in that environment, and it's going to be set up and in place for a long time.
Right.
That scenario versus do you choose copper? Do you choose fiber? So you got to look at the surrounding area that you're working in.
Right. And other considerations are electromagnetic interference. Mm-hmm. So if you're wiring in an older building using conduit where power is also running, then fiber might be a great solution because it's not going to pick up any interference. Either that, or you're going to have to use shielded cable and make sure that's. Then you got to deal with heat tolerance in that environment.
Yeah.
So it just really depends. It's very specific to each deployment and what the architecture is in the environment.
Yeah, and then you start breaking down, okay, now we understand what type of solution we want to go with. Now we can talk about jackets, a CMR, a riser versus plenum versus an indoor-outdoor scenario or a ruggedized jacket. So those environmental factors really do come into play.
Right. And we run into low smoke, zero halogen where, if you wanted to confuse things, let's just add that to the mix, because what's the difference between that and plenum? It's just the type of emission and the standard. Low smoke, zero halogen is more of a European standard, right?
Correct.
And so those are constructed a little bit differently to prevent any halogen release. Plenum is just, certain toxic elements.
You just don't want those toxic chemicals getting into the air return system where you could breathe them in.
Right.
I mean, it's just up to fire code.
Right.
And that's the other thing, too, is check your local jurisdictions in regards to different types of codes for these application purposes as well.
Right.
I mean, we don't hit on that, I think, enough, but that's to take that into account. You must do that.
Right. And I'm a big fan of planning ahead, like overbuilding the architecture, because it's future proofing and allowing you for growth without pain. Nothing drove me crazier than the freeway system here in Phoenix. And they would build, and it'd be like 3 lanes, and then there'd be these huge spaces with berms for future. Well, what's it going to be? It's going to be cheaper to build it now than it's going to be 10 years from now when you're digging out but no, that's not how we do it.
Yeah.
We build we give it all the land it needs to expand, but instead of just spending the money now, which is cheaper, they go through all this pain of construction, and there's, everywhere construction in Phoenix, all the time on the roads.
Everywhere,
there's
it's
always
happening.
a segment that's being shut down, and that drives me absolutely nuts.
Well, here's what gets me, and we encounter this a lot in our industry with folks out there. What may look good on paper, right?
Yep.
The architectural design, the drawing, the engineers sitting there, putting it all down. This looks beautiful. It looks perfect until you get into the application process.
Right.
You're always going to run into the what ifs. Oh my gosh, look what happened. This doesn't work. This doesn't fit. And so that's where we do a lot of work on helping people out with that, because it's just sometimes it's not practical.
Right.
Because the physical location is a lot different from the location set up on paper.
Right. And, there's a lot of scenarios where, because we're in kind of an environment where we don't necessarily, everything that we do is not like established yet. It's not stuff that's on the shelf anywhere else.
Yeah.
So these are specific parts for specific applications, and some of it's going through design phase and needs to be modified based on results. So, we just look at it like, we can build the spec, we can take a diagram, we can go, okay, this is what you think is going to work, and give it to them, and then help modify it from there if the results aren't what they're looking for.
Yeah.
And just because, let me tell you, just because something passes, let's say a certification or testing today, doesn't mean it's going to pass it tomorrow. No. It depends on the quality of the work that's been done, and the quality of the materials that are used in that work. So, that's where I think we really value add, is just making sure that we're trying to use the highest quality materials for stuff that we're accountable for, we're responsible for. If a customer hands us something and says, use this, it's kind of like, that's on them at that point.
Correct.
We can work with whatever product they want, but the outcome is not something that we have any control over, because we're not having any input on the materials.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, here's a scenario I ran into yesterday, and this took us some time. Anyway, encountered a local business here up north. I'm not going to name names and get into all that, but they ran into an issue where OHSA said, stop. You have to stop your manufacturing process. Everything came to a halt because of a safety D-ring issue. Okay?
Yeah.
So they're come to us looking for these D-rings.
Right.
And so I started doing some research on it and taking a look, wow. Well, first of all, the D-ring that they're looking for is spec'd in, and we can use an alternative, okay? But the issue we end up running into is they come back, so it has to meet all these certain OHSA standards, like I was talking about before, getting into regulation.
Right.
Well, once we start researching that, man, and I worked on it for hours trying to find a solution. Overnight, they found a solution where they were able to find 5 pieces, okay? Now, here's the scenario. They found 5 pieces, but in order for them to continue to work here in the future, everybody at the plant needs one of these.
Right.
So you're talking thousands of people.
Right.
And so I went to our machine shop and like, hey, we can make this, we can manufacture this. That's great. We could do it. But the problem lies in all the red tape behind the scenes.
Right.
So
you got to get it approved.
It's got to get approved. It has to go through UL, UL certification. It's got to go through some OHSA standards and certifications. And that's just that before you get to the actual business and their red tape that you have to take a look at. So what seemed like might be a solution that we could do here, and we could actually get it ready to go for them. Well, now you're talking 7-9 months of certifications and testing to get to that point to where it's accepted in that environment.
Right.
So these are things you got to think about ahead of time.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's coming my way lately that are not, can you do this overnight type of thing.
Yeah.
It's very much you better be planning it, not calling it the last minute and going, we need it tomorrow, kind of thing. I mean, and the reality is we do get a lot of those calls too. And sometimes we can help, but a lot of times, it's just not possible to turn on a dime and produce the result. Mm-hmm. What's that pyramid? There's expense on one side. There's speed on one side, and there's quality on the other side.
Yeah.
And you can only have one side of the triangle, right? So you can have speed and cheap.
There's give and take
but the
somewhere.
Quality isn't going to be there. You can have speed and quality, but it's going to be expensive.
Yeah.
Right? Or you can have quality and good price, but it's going to take a while.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just the way it is. It's reality. And we try and do, jump through a lot of hoops for customers, but at the end of the day, planning is really the key to it.
It really is, because we do run into this a lot, that we get these calls every day. Hey, I need this like yesterday.
Right.
Right. So it's like, okay, let's see what we can do to help you out. And we were able to find those solutions, which is good.
Right.
But there's a lot of this stuff that I take a look at and I say, if we would just take a look, if we look and ask the questions with our customers and our current customers, and we start planning and focusing ahead on how to help suit them better.
Right.
And take that approach.
Right, exactly. I mean, we get caught up in urgency, and you lose sight of goal, right? So hopefully, we educate our customers. We try and bring them along into the right frame of mind as far as this stuff goes. And we really do have some great customers who do forecasting and planning out of their activities.
I have a customer that we planned out going into 2028 now.
Yeah.
And we've already have the whole plan for them all scheduled out every month. Yeah. So that's just great. I love it, because you can take care of and resolve problems before you get there.
Right. Yep. And it helps with supply too, because if you know what your throughput is going to be, then your back-end supply chain can be geared up and aligned with what they need. Sometimes, cable has to be made. It literally, like, the cable has to be spun out.
Sure.
Right, for some of this stuff.
Some of that stuff takes weeks to do.
Right.
From the direct manufacturer.
It does. And so it's not necessarily just a flip the switch kind of thing.
Yeah. Speaking of supplies, we've got a really good stock in our warehouse here on property, and we got really good resources, but I have noticed supply chain's been breaking down a little bit more in some instances. We were looking for a product earlier today, and my coworker Harry had found it up in Canada. So, but I'm just saying, it should be, you would think it would be readily available here,
right?
But we just weren't finding it. So,
I noticed that was happening with like 144 and 288 strand fiber.
Yeah,
it was just nowhere to be found all of a sudden.
Yeah,
and wait times were months.
Well, I think some of that is in fact, like I know Aaron was talking about this, about residential infrastructure changes and upgrades. And I think that there's so much new building and construction going in that they're laying that fiber and using that fiber in that area.
Right. I mean, whether it's data centers with high volume throughput, or whether it's new developments or existing developments converting to fiber applications and, running big runs, doing big runs. But, great, because OS2's easy. I mean, you can put it somewhere and it goes kilometers, like 30, 40 kilometers, no problem. Not so much with the OM1 or OM3 or 4, but that's really, again, talking about how we're converting as a country, to fiber optics in a big way. And data demands are only increasing, and they're getting, I mean, homes with internets of things now, and whether it's security cameras or smart refrigerators or, you know, a coffee pot that talks to the internet, whatever it is, right?
I don't need my coffee pot to talk to the internet, nor my refrigerator.
No, I don't have those either, but I hear they exist.
They are out there, that's for sure. No, but that's one thing. And the other thing I want to say about this is that go to the core of what you're working on when you're putting your system together and designing your system.
Right.
Understand the specs of each piece of equipment that you're working with. I think sometimes we forget about that.
Right.
And knowing what's needed, you know, for the connectivity in between those pieces, you know, your routers, your servers, understanding how they work in conjunction with each other.
Well, and I will say this too. It's kind of bass-ackwards to you know, say, okay, here's all my stuff. Now I'm going to go out and I'm going to, you know, find whatever's available right now to connect it, right? It's kind of like not a smart idea to just find out what's available, you know, when it may not be the best solution, because now you're not really, you might have a great switch or router or, you know, whatever. But if your last thought is, okay, I need to find out whatever's available to connect it, and you're not like planning that piece of it out so that everything is intentional instead of reactionary, then you're going to clip your results.
Well, as we've seen, we don't even know what's going on with this Microsoft outage, right?
Yeah.
It could simply be one cable that failed.
Well, that Verizon outage that was last week, right? Yeah, I mean, They swore it's not a hack. It was, you know, equipment failure. Okay. I mean, you can accept anything for what it's worth, face value, but usually data centers have failovers. So there's redundancy upon redundancy to prevent that sort
from
of thing
taking place.
Right. So, you know, whether...
Yeah, I was questioning the same thing too.
Yeah.
I'm like, what about the redundancy systems?
I mean, when I've built maybe 2 or 3 servers in my time, and you know, there's this is back in the day, and I'm sure it still goes on, but they're hot swappable hard drives that go in them when you're doing what they call striping, and essentially, you know, you can do a 3 or a 5 hard drive striping, and when you're striping them, that means that you know, like if it's 3, you can pull out any one drive, and the 2 drives that are left will still have all of the data.
Okay.
In the whole data set. And if it's 5, you could pull out 2 drives, and the 3 will still have all the data. So basically, what it was backups. You know,
it was safe.
Right. So, you know, no matter what happened, if a drive failed, you could just yank it out, replace it, and then all the data would reconcile at that point, and every drive would have a piece of the equation, and you know, multiple pieces of the same data were on multiple drives, so that there was always, you were always in a safe harbor. Yeah. So when you talk about power, you know, there's always power redundancy. There should be always switching and routing redundancy. So you just wonder what happens when stuff like this happens.
Yeah. The good news is for Aaron back there, that if all sports stopped existing with the exception of hockey, he would still be able to enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, he would.
It's his favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we thank you for that, Aaron, because it brings joy to our hearts, knowing that you're happy with hockey.
That would be a horrible life.
Best life.
All right. So, we went way over.
Not too far over, a few moments.
Okay.
But, welcome back, Mark. Glad you're feeling better.
Appreciate it.
Thank you once again.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow. And you know what? I'm ready for some rain this weekend.
Yeah.
So.
It's going to be great. I'm going up to Prescott Valley this weekend.
Nice.
So
enjoy it.
It should be beautiful. Maybe get a couple of flurries there. Yeah. I'm going to be inside all day, though, on Saturday for meetings and all that, but it should be fun. I want that cool, crisp mountain air.
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
Not the yellow, hazy Phoenix air.
Yeah, no. It'll be nice. Well, we appreciate you being here. Like, subscribe, share this podcast. We're here because you're here. We're here every Thursday at 3 p.m. Arizona time. And if you have any comments for us, email us at wired@gruber.com. So for now, I'm Mark Beach.
I'm John Dotson. Thank you.
Have a great day.